I finally got round to watching Rob Savage's The Boogeyman, and I was pleasantly surprised with the outcome. Prepare to be entranced and terrified, dear viewer, by the thing that lurks in your closet or hides under your bed. Slap my thigh and let's ride the wave, because today I'll be reviewing The Boogeyman. Director Rob Savage seems to have the Midas touch when it comes to crafting chilling and psychologically intense horror films of late. Look no further than his 2020 sublime lockdown film Host, and then just a mere year later releasing another found footage film, Dashcam, both taut and horrifying experiences that delve deep into the realms of fear, trauma, and the unknown. Now, with the source material of a little unknown writer called Stephen King, and the finances to explore further than the found footage genre, The Boogeyman is a masterpiece of suspense and will leave you running to your bedroom long after the credits have rolled, hiding yourself under the duvet and muttering to yourself that there's no such thing as the monster under the bed. From the very first scene, The Boogeyman grips its audience with an atmosphere dripping in unease. The cinematography on display here is nothing short of mesmerizing, as every shot is meticulously framed to create a sense of impending doom. The use of lighting and shadows is a true work of art, playing with the viewer's perceptions and heightening the tension to an almost unbearable level. This is a film worth watching with the lights off. Although Stephen King's short story was set entirely in a psychologist's office and was a duologue between two men, The Boogeyman has to obviously widen the narrative arc to fill the 1 hour 38 minute runtime, so we focus on the Harpers, who have recently lost their mother in a car accident. Sadie is a vulnerable loner and wears one of her mother's dresses to school only for a bully to smash food all over it. Sawyer is so timid that she sleeps with a giant light ball. Both are disrupted by aggressive bumps in the night and closet doors that suddenly burst open or slam shut. They're not getting much support from their father, Will, a therapist who's dealing with his own intense pain. When a desperate patient unexpectedly shows up at their house seeking help, he leaves behind a terrifying supernatural entity that preys on families and feeds on the suffering of its victims. Lester Billings, played with an authentic, unnerving performance by David Dastmalchian, is where things start to kick off, and this section conveys the 1973 short story very well, with Billings explaining the death of his children, and whether consciously or unconsciously passing the grief baton of the monster in the closet to the Harpers. A small gripe I had was that when this new form of darkness descended, feeding off their pain, there seemed to be a loss of coherent sense of place. There were too many times when Sawyer would see something in the dark, only for Sadie to see it a moment later, but none of them actually say anything to each other, and instances where, how could this particular thing happen here, or why is no one hearing this thing happen there? And while it might sound like a relatively minor complaint, the suspense is sometimes killed by confusion. Dr. Harper is absent for such a long stretch of the third act that I wondered if I'd missed something or they were setting up some kind of red herring to kind of forecast he was the monster all along. And although this is a modern set story, Savage's technological sense is curiously neglected. For all the talk about how the Boogeyman hates light, the script more or less ignores the handiness that the mobile phone flashlight could have in thwarting the creature or inspiring more clever screenwriting. It's the kind of, oh gosh darn, we don't have any signal on our phones, that rules out any external authority figures coming in to save the day. Such an omission becomes glaring as we sleekly glide into the third act, which is a bit more style over substance overall. One of the film's greatest achievements lies in its ability to terrify without resorting to cheap jump scares or excessive gore. Instead, The Boogeyman relies on a meticulously crafted sound design that manipulates even the slightest noise into a source of dread. The absence of sound is equally powerful, allowing silence to hang heavy in the air and intensify the viewer's sense of anticipation. Furthermore, the film invites audiences to explore the blurred lines between reality and the supernatural. Sure, you could argue that in its attempt to use its central villain as a metaphor for emotional trauma, this may not work as well as last year's Smile, and horror therapy is getting a tad exhausting in general. And the film ultimately works best at cementing Savage's status as one to look out for in the future, neatly gliding from the laptop to the big screen with better things to surely come. In a landscape saturated with formulaic horror, The Boogeyman is a rare gem that manages to terrify, provoke thought, and evoke genuine empathy all at once. This is a film that will surely become a classic in the annals of horror history, reminding us of the genre's power to explore the depths of human emotions and fears. If you dare to confront your own phobias of the darkness, The Boogeyman is an absolute must-see. Just be prepared to have your sleep disrupted and your thoughts haunted by its ethereal brilliance.